You know that feeling, right? You're scrolling through your inbox, and bam, there it is, an email from the income tax department. Your heart does a little flutter, doesn't it? Every taxpayer knows that feeling. But what's really inside, and more importantly, what on earth are you supposed to do next?
It's so easy to jump straight to panic mode when you see that official email. But what if, instead of panic, you had a clear, step-by-step plan? Well, that's exactly what we're going to build right here. We're going to turn that little jolt of anxiety into a simple, straightforward to-do list.
Okay, let's dive right in. The very first thing you need to get straight in your head is this. A defective return notice is not a penalty. It is not a demand for more tax. Just think of it as a heads up from the department, a little warning flag that says, hey, you might want to take a second look at this.
So what exactly makes a return defective? It's just an ITR that has some kind of error. Maybe you left a mandatory field blank, or there's a small mismatch in the numbers. The key phrase here is opportunity to correct mistakes. The tax department is literally giving you a chance for a do-over on whatever the issue is.
And just so you have the official lingo, this notice comes from a specific rule, Section 139(9) of the Income Tax Act. This just gives it legal weight and tells you exactly what kind of notice you're dealing with.
All right, so we know what it is. The next big question is, why? Why did this land in your inbox? Understanding the specific reason is the absolute key to fixing it, and fixing it fast. You know, when you look at the most common reasons, a pattern starts to emerge. Most of these defects are just simple slip-ups. For instance, the tax you paid might not perfectly line up with what you calculated. Or maybe you claimed credit for tax deducted at source, the TDS, but forgot to report the income that went with it. It's usually just about tying up these kinds of loose ends. And this slide right here shows the #1 culprit, a data mismatch. Think about it. On one side, you have all the information you filed in your return. But on the other side, you have all the data the tax department already has about you from banks, employers, and so on. When those two stories don't quite match, a red flag goes up.
The main tool the department uses for this is something called the Annual Information Statement, or the AIS. You can think of it as a detailed financial report card that they have on you. It covers everything from your salary to your bank interest to your stock market trades. This statement is almost always where a mismatch is spotted.
So you get what it is and why it happened. Now we need to talk about the when. And this part is really, really important because a clock starts ticking.
You get exactly 15 days from the moment you receive that notice to respond. I know, it's a tight turnaround. Now, don't panic. It is possible to request an extension if you have a good reason, but you have to assume that 15-day clock is running.
So what happens if you just ignore it? Well, the consequences are pretty serious. Your tax return becomes invalid. That means, as far as the tax department is concerned, it's like you never filed it at all. This can trigger late filing penalties, your refund gets put on hold, and you lose out on benefits like carrying forward losses. So yeah, this is definitely not something you want to put on the back burner.
Okay, enough about the problem. Let's get into the solution. We're going to walk through the exact steps you need to take to clear this up and get everything back on track.
Your entire response boils down to this really simple 3-step plan. Step 1, log in and identify the exact error. Step 2, revise your return to fix that specific mistake. And Step 3, submit your response and, this is crucial, e-verify it. Let's break that down.
First things first, you have to find the notice. It's pretty straightforward. As you can see, you just log into the Income Tax e-filing portal, look for the Pending Actions menu, and from there, click on e-proceedings. Your notice will be sitting right there waiting for you. Once you open that notice and read the details about the defect, the portal will give you a clear choice. You have to formally select one of two options. You either agree with the defect they've pointed out, or you disagree. And this slide really breaks down those two paths for you. If you agree with the defect, which, let's be honest, is usually the case, you'll select Agree, prepare a corrected ITR, and just upload the new file. But if you genuinely believe the department has it wrong, you'll select Disagree and provide a clear, concise explanation right there in the text box.
Now, I really want to pause on this for a second because it is so incredibly important. As it says right here, verifying your ITR is absolutely mandatory for it to be processed. This isn't just a suggestion, it's a rule, and it applies to your original return and to this corrected response.
So please, whatever you do, do not forget this final critical step. You have to e-verify your response. For most people, the quickest and easiest way is using the OTP that gets sent to the mobile number linked with your Aadhaar, but you can also use net banking or your DMAT account. Just make sure you get it done.
So, you fixed the problem.
you're in the clear. But how do you make sure you don't have to go through all this again next year? Well, let's talk about prevention.
Think of this as your pre-filing checklist. Before you even start filling out your return, download your Form 26AS and, most importantly, your AIS. Compare them, line by line, with your own records. Make sure you're using the right ITR form for your income, that your bank account is pre-validated, and that your PAN and ADAR are linked. A little bit of prep work here can save you a whole lot of hassle later.
So, there you have it. That is the complete playbook for turning a defective return notice from a source of stress into a simple, manageable task. The real takeaway here is just about being diligent. And that leaves us with one final question for you to think about. Is your next tax return going to be truly error-free? Now you have the tools to make sure it is.